Okay. So there are like the rules or the law of judgment. Okay, and now I give you some example of in the 70s, okay. In around the 70s, okay. They have a big problem among the developmental studies and people who studies what you call the study of peasant society, sorry. And they have a big debate whether, you know, the peasant society is rational or not, okay. And James Scott wrote this book about the moral economy of peasant in 1976. Okay, he did his fieldwork in Malaysia. Scott is this guy. Sorry, this guy, James Scott. James C. Scott. He's a very well-known political scientist. Okay, and whatever you want to call anthropologist, but he's a Sterling professor of political science at Yale University. Of course, he's very well-known political scientist, but he's an anarchist. Okay, he's an anarchist. He rejects the state, and that's why he wrote this very famous book called The Art of Not Being Governed. Okay, but before that, he wrote this one, The Moral Economy of the Peasant, in 1976, and he's trying to say that, you know, they are different, they have their own way of thinking. Okay, but then in 1979, Popkin wrote this one, wrote Rational Peasant. Okay, it's the same, like when I mentioned Louis Dumont long time ago. Okay, Louis Dumont, he's a French anthropologist, and he wrote this book, okay, Homo hierarchicus. Hierarchicus, as you know the word, it means hierarchy. We are not equal. We are okay, and at the same time, he wrote an essay on individualism, the perspective, and the anthropological perspective on modern ideology in 1983 in French. And he's trying to contrast the idea between holism and individualism. So what does it mean? It means that, you know, if you're individualist, the foundation of being an individual is less upon the idea of equality. Okay? Based on equality, we are not different, we're just an individual. We are more or less the same. Okay? But as I said, you have to realize that individualism as I said as I showed to you last semester, individualism has not been part of the Western world since the dawn of civilization. It was invented, or it was created, or it was developed during the last 300-400 years. It depends on whom you're talking to. Okay, but as I said, I use Reformation as the one of the major founding period that give rise to individualism. And of course, it's not the facts of life, it's an ideology. So even people in the West okay, it's an ideology. And for the West, if you are modern, you have to be individualistic. Okay, that's the way, that's Western narrative. Okay, so in order for you to be modern, okay, as you see in the modernization theory, this is one of the example. As I said to you, you don't have extended family any longer. Okay, and I think I told you to read the short piece in Atlantic. Okay. Hope you remember, because this is a very short piece, and you see how this the family, the idea of family and the family itself has been developed. Okay, but now everything changed, because when I was in university, nuclear family is a good idea. But now everything changed again. Okay, you know, people starting to criticize this development. And of course, I hope you remember this one. That I mentioned to you last time. I mean, not last time, last semester. Okay, you hope you remember this one. The European development, whose Occidental rationalism was once supposed to serve as a model for the rest of the world, is actually the exception rather than the norm, treading a deviant path. We and not they are pursuing the Sunderland. Okay, this article was by Jürgen Habermas. We mentioned about this last semester. So basically, now people are starting to realize that the West is the Sunderland. For me, this is a confession. It's the idea of okay, people at the center, the one who got the benefit, the one who have all this advantage. Okay. This is a kind of new confession, the Sunderland of that. Right? Why? Because they realize that what they have done is this. Which is, of course, okay, we don't have this problem. And that's why, you know, in an American journal and many others also raise the question of racism. Okay. And of course, you see that it's come with this idea. the superiority of the Aryan people. Hitler is one of the best examples. So what you have seen so far, you have to remember that when they talk about coloniality of power, okay, and coloniality, okay, and epistemic colonialism, okay, in a modern university. As I said, it's unit, not poly. And the uni here is the power of the Eurocentrism. I will come back to this one. I wrote down with capital letter. Okay, the West through history of expansion of Europe, colonialism, and international division of labor, and globalization. Okay, so this semester from the beginning, what I'm trying to show is this one. I'm trying to show to you that the university itself is really unique, and they want to take us to go back to the Western foundation. That's what I call epistemic hegemony. That's okay. And coloniality, sorry, okay, the American was late. They were the latecomer of the empire, the empire, the end of 19th century. So did Japan. Okay. American was the latecomer among the West. And from the expansion of Europe to colonial European power and empire, space. But another is time. Okay. So this one. The GMT one. the International Meridian Conference in Washington, D.C. in 1884. This is what you got. The Greenwich Mean Time, the GMT, as the international standard for 0 degree of longitude. You synchronize time all over the world.
อาจารย์ครับข้อความมันไม่ขึ้นนะครับ
อ๋อเหรอเห็นไหมอ๋อเหรอ
ยังไม่เห็นค่ะ
เดี๋ยวนะครับแป๊บหนึ่งนะครับแป๊บหนึ่งเฮ้ยทำไมมันไม่ขึ้นอ่ะซีเรีย
เห็นแล้ว
เห็นไหมเฮ้ยแล้วอันนี้มันปิดโอเคเห็นไหมครับ
เห็นแล้วค่ะ
synchronization of time นะครับ that's why at the moment it's almost 10 o'clock in Bangkok local time. You know, whenever you travel, they said, okay, the local time is, so why they have to synchronize. Okay. And this is what Annabelle Kichono trying to show it to you, that because modernity cannot, that's why they use the slash, is coronality. Okay. And in order for the university in Latin America or in Africa, the first thing they have to fight is okay. Epistemic hegemony of the Eurocentrism has to be dismantled. Okay. That's why Walter Mignolo who developed the idea from Annabelle Kichono said that okay. We have to abandon ontology, but and adopt relational logic. Okay. And he even said, okay, this is what he said. Okay. And he then again said, okay. Okay, you see it? Hello? Epistemologies are always derived from cosmology, and then, another couple of sentences later, epistemology, the words and the concept is a fragment of Western cosmology ground on objects in the world and ideas of their transcendence, like Plato, philosophy, or in one single God, which is a Christian translation of idea. Remind you of this concept. This is it. Okay. And ideas, idols. Okay. The idea is the supreme. Okay. And of course, what I'm showing here is, sorry, it's different because what we have here is why cosmology is show what? In philosophy, okay, the idols. So, when you look at the idea of philosophy, they just said, okay, use your logic. There's nothing related to any other thing. Because in philosophy, they think that the idea is of itself and in itself and of itself. With this kind of idea, the argument has nothing to do with the life of the person. You see it all the time when you study logic. They say that you can't argue that because this is male or female. It has nothing to do with the idea. You hear it all the time. It's irrelevant. Why? Because as I said, the West doesn't rely on this concept. Okay, before I forget, I should show you who is Walter McDonald. I think I showed it to you last time. Okay. Okay, this is a guy. He's Argentinian. Okay. And when we talk about the coloniality of power of, Annabelle Pigiano, one has to accept that. We're not going to destroy the West. We're not going to cleanse the West. We're not going to cleanse European, because European has been part of Latin American tradition. European has been part of us. That's why we're speaking English right now. We cannot deny it. The same. The same. So Okay. Okay. You cannot deny that whether, for example, as I keep on telling you, as keep on saying that, look at my name is Sanskrit. We are in the Sanskrit cosmopolis. Right? You cannot deny that. Look at my name, look at your university name, it's all Sanskrit. But at the same time, there's something that in order for the plurality to exist, okay? Plurality, not university, that's what we're trying to do. In order for one to leave this university to get into plurality, we have to okay, as I said all the time, the epistemic have to be eradicated or eliminated, or to minimize. Because you cannot destroy or you cannot cleanse, and it's useless, and it's no point for anyone who trying to say that you will say no to the West. It's like you say no to Indian culture, otherwise you have to get rid of, go back to some basic name like Dam Din Dang, as I always said. Okay. So coloniality Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sundavan. And this is the, for example, in order to get away from in order to leave Eurocentrism behind. Okay. The Western canon, which is I mentioned this to you. Okay, now we look at the idea of Western canon. Western canon. And you talk about Shakespeare, you talk about Socrates, you talk about Bible, and so on and so forth, you know, all the way to I don't know, you know, of this, you know, 100 book that you have to read, 100, you know, film that you have to see, 100 music, songs that you have to listen, you know, all this kind of thing. Okay. And this is the Western canon. Okay. And one of the major proponents is by this guy, Harold Bloom, who used to teach at Yale University. He's probably one of the most important literary critics in the US. You know, he just died a couple of months ago, you know, in October 2019. This is the guy, Harold Bloom. Okay. He's from Yale as well. So you see, Bloom is the defender of traditional Western canon. Okay, because you think that's why I mentioned this to you. Italo Calvino. Okay. It's published here. Yeah. This is one of the classic pieces that New York books. I think this is my opinion, they're a little proud of, because this article has been quoted and has been mentioned all the time. And this was translated, I think, from Italian. Okay, it's published in October 9, 1986. Okay, and it's still the classic one. But as I said, you have to include it other kind of knowledge. And that doesn't mean that rationality is the only standard that you can judge people in the polyverse system. In the polyverse system, people live differently and behave differently. Okay. In the past, as I said, because of Eurocentric, you rely on only the concept of rationality. Eurocentric put okay. There's one article before Celia. Anyone got it? Celia. Mà cặp ấy xây xô mình. Mình bay ở đây cái.